week's parasha, that talks about Moses. We saw what happened a little bit in his childhood, how he was raised. He was a young prince. He was raised in the most powerful palace on earth because Egypt was the most powerful nation. He was raised there in the king's palace as a prince, but he could not stand injustice. So he saw somebody who was doing something wrong. He killed a guy. Basically was an Egyptian who had gone into someone's tent, and the woman thought it was a husband who just came back. It was like still night or whatever, and he abused that woman. And then the next day he found the husband, and it was beating him up because of course he's guilty. So now he's gonna beat up the husband. So anyway, Moses didn't like this at all. He looked right and left, this guy really not good, and he killed him. Now, to kill an Egyptian was a big thing. And Moses was accused of murder, and they tried to kill him, and they didn't manage to kill him for some reason. His neck got very hard, they couldn't kill him, so he escaped. He fled, and he went to a faraway place. I was looking at the map. He fled. When he was 27 years old, he arrived in Ethiopia. And I'm not going to say the whole story now, because otherwise I'm not going to go anywhere tonight. It's the long story. He became the king of Ethiopia. He became king for 40 years. You want to know how he became king? Okay, so you're pulling the story. Okay, so basically he was fleeing from Egypt, his country. He arrived in Ethiopia, and I figured out, how do people come to Egypt, to Ethiopia? I figured maybe they go against the current and they, go along the river, or in the river on the Nile. In Ethiopia, there was a king who had gone out to battle to fight the enemy, and he went out with his soldiers, and but the women and the children and whoever was not, in the army stayed in the city. And after many years, he comes back to the city, and he sees the city is very fortified. He says, great, they did a great job to protect themselves. But lo and behold, he tries to get in. He's the king, and they don't let him in. So somebody else took over. Bilam and his brothers took over, and they wouldn't let him in. And so he was basically locked outside of his city, and he's camping outside, and they have nothing. And the situation gets very, very bad. They're there for years and years like that. They can't do anything about it. The city is very fortified, and so now, after a while, this king dies. Meanwhile, in the meantime, while the camp was outside, while the army was outside the city, comes in Moses, who has been escaping from Egypt. He arrives there and they say, what's going on? And they tell him the story, can't get in, nothing to do, okay, nothing to do. Meanwhile, he's a trustworthy person, and they start liking him, whatever. And in the meantime, the king died. So when the king dies, it's now we need a chief. So they say, okay, Moses looks like he's the right person to replace the king. So you're going to be our king. Okay, going to be our king. All right. He said, okay. He said, okay. Look, he's raised as a prince. He knows a lot of stuff. So, okay, they got a good deal. 7 days after he becomes king, because there's no crown, there's no nothing. They basically put a few coats on the floor to make it a heap of things, and they put him out there, and they say, okay, you're king. Okay, 7 days after he became king, he said, listen, if you listen to me, we're going to get back in the city, and you're going to see your children and wives and daughters. So he told them like this, I want you to go into the forest, I want you to capture storks. Make them like a pet. That they come onto you, they do what you want them to do. Like you train them, like, people used to train falcons and eagles. So after a while, they have all these pets, storks, Now he said, okay, this is what we're going to do, because the whole city was surrounded and there was water and there was trenches that you do not feed your pet stock for 3 days. Just tie it up, don't let it go anywhere for 3 days. And after 3 days, he told them what they're going to do. They're going to go and let the storks go into the moat, take all the snakes, get rid of all the snakes, and that's going to be their way to go into the city and attack. And they just did that. As they attacked from one side of the city, Bilam, who had taken over the place, they fled through another gate and they escaped. Bilam and his 8 brothers. They were always the bad guys. Like, you know, like in the movie, there's the bad guys and the good guys. So in these stories, there's Moses always the good guy, and Bilam, every time there's a problem, you see he's there, wherever this guy. He was the guy, Bilam, who told the king Pharaoh, you know, this child that tipped your crown, you should kill him. And he's also the one who gave Pharaoh the advice to kill all the Jewish children, the Jewish boys. So he's always, where there's trouble, you can say, is Bilam. Okay. He's a sorcerer, he uses magic, and he does all this trick, whatever. You wanted to know how Moses became king of Ethiopia? That's how he became king. Okay, so now after 40 years, the wife of the previous king said to the people, you've had this man as your head. He's not one of ours. He's not worshipping our gods. And he's not one of us. And he's never touched me. I was his wife, of course. She now became the wife. But he never touched me, never. Why do we keep this man? You have my son who is the heir to the throne. He should be king. After 40 years. Get him out of here. Exactly. After 40 years of good service, get him out of it. Exactly.
Back in the river.
What is absolutely amazing is that you'd seen last week how Pharaoh, who didn't want to do anything bad, was willing to give up his throne, and he just couldn't. At the end, he ended up. Who was here last week? Yeah. Remember how he tried to not do it, and they said, okay, if you don't do it, you're going to lose the throne. He said, okay, I'll lose my throne. But then he couldn't. He just couldn't. So he came back, and he came back with a very bad conscience, and that's how he started doing very bad things. Because it's very hard once a person is in power not to abuse power. You see, when the person is very poor and has no power, you say, oh, well, good. But what about when the person has power? It's also a challenge, a moral challenge. Yosef withstood this challenge. Moses was a very good king to the people. But what I found amazing is that when they tell him you're out, he left. He didn't put up a fuss. He didn't try to kill all the people that were against him. He left. It's unbelievable. He had the power and he left. They gave him present and he left. It's unbelievable. It shows the humility that he had, that he was not in there to boss people. They want him, they want him. They don't want him, they don't want him. The same way that he accepted the crown, the same way he let it go. He's not doing things for his own ego. It's absolutely amazing. Now, he arrived in Ethiopia. As I said, he was 27. By the time he left Ethiopia, he was 40 years later.
67.
Good, thank you. So now he's 67. He goes to Midian. He arrives in Midian. Who was in Midian? He was one of the 3 advisors to the king. The king Pharaoh had 3 advisors. One was Bilam, the same bad guy that was capturing the city. Another one was Job.
Joby.
Who said, listen, when the king Pharaoh asked, what shall I do? You know, that I have this dream, this thing is happening, this and that. Job said, do whatever you think is right. It's like, you know, it's not wetting his feet. You know what I'm saying? Bilam was attacking. Yeah, kill them, kill all the firstborn. A child is going to be born who's going to save the Jews. You've got to kill all the boys, kill them.
Oh, yeah.
That's Bilam. Okay? Job, nondescript. Yitro Jethro said, you know what? These people have a God that always saves them. He's on their side. Just be careful. If you be good to them, it will be good for you. Because of that, now he was kicked out. It was demoted. Before he left, he went into the treasury, took a few things, and he left. Yeah. So he arrives and he settled down in Midian. This man tries everything. He tries all the religion, all the deity. No, there's some guys like that. Even nowadays, they'll try Christianity and they'll try atheism and they'll try Buddhism and they'll try, this and that. They'll try whatever. People want to know about religion. They'll try everything. Yitro, he tried everything. And fine. So when the people of Midian see that he's not of the same religion, this and that, they demoted him. In the meantime, this man Moses arrives. He had been king. He arrives and he tells his story that he fled from Egypt and now he was king, but now he's not king anymore. And Yitro listened to the story and says, I don't want any trouble. I don't want to be in trouble. Not with the Egyptian. He had enough trouble already for the Egyptian king. I don't want them, Midian, to come over here, Ethiopia to come over here and fight me because I'm, giving shelter to one of the refugee or a murderer. Who knows what this guy did? Why is a king and now all of a sudden he's not a king? I don't want any problem. And he took Moses, and he put him in jail. And he left him there to rot in the desert. They had places like that. They didn't kill people, they let them rot. In France, they also had that under Louis XI. It's called the oubliettes. You forget the people. He's in jail for 10 years. Why am I telling you this? It sounds absolutely crazy. A lot of people know about Moses, right? It's like all over the world, people read the Bible, they know about Moses. How many people know that he spent 10 years in jail? A lot of people look at big achievers and they say, oh my gosh, look at this guy, look what he did. He's now famous, or he's now rich, or he's now a company, he's now CEO, he's now this, he's in recovery, he has been sober for 15 years. People always look at other people, look. They don't look what people went through to get there. They always look at the result, but they don't look at what the hardship that they had to go through to get there. So always remember, when you see a success, it didn't come up like this. People had to work very hard for it. So Moses, nobody knows, but he'd been in jail for 10 years. Jethro had 7 daughters. One of the daughters, when she saw that Moses is put in jail, she secretly fed him. After 10 years, she goes to her father. She says, do you remember this guy you put in jail 10 years ago? Yeah. What? His bones and like dehydrated bones by now? She says, you never know, because this man, he's going to perform miracle for his ancestor Abraham, for his ancestor Isaac, for his ancestor Jacob. And you never know, these people, their God can do miracles. You better go check it out on this man. Okay, go check it out, sees him alive. Because she had fed him. She didn't tell his father she'd fed him. But wow, Jethro was very impressed. This guy is still alive, there's something special. By now, he's not afraid of the Egyptians, not afraid of the Ethiopian anymore after 10 years. So, all right. So he took him out and said, okay, now he sees, give him a shave, a haircut, bath, clothes, treat him properly. Moses going around the property, now it's like finally outside in the garden, goes around in the garden and he sees a stick there, big stick, a very interesting stick. It was made out of sapphire. It's very heavy. He said, this is interesting. It has writing on it, Hebrew writing on it. He picked up the stick and he felt like the stick had roots in the ground, but he picked it up and he was able to pick it up. And he looks at it and said, where does this come from? He goes to Jethro, his host, and he says, what is this stick? And Jethro sees the stick and is dumbfounded, because that stick had been in the ground since he had left Egypt, which is over 50 years ago. And nobody could take it out of the ground. So much so that he had said, whoever takes the stick out of the ground will marry my daughter. And guess what?
Did it.
He did it. So Moses now has married this woman, Zipporah, who had fed him for 10 years. And he's now marrying Zipporah. Okay? And he lives there with his father-in-law, and they have children. The special woman in the life of Moses. You know, they say behind every man there's a great woman. Behind every great man there's a great woman. Moses had not just one great woman. He had his mother. We talked about her last week. He had his adoptive mother, who was called Daughter of God by God, because she was an amazing person. The princess, the royal Egyptian princess. He had Zipporah. He had his sister Miriam. Legend has it that many decades before that, the king Pharaoh and Jethro, who was his advisor, were in the slave market. And they go around and they see these two little baby girls. And each one took a baby girl. Pharaoh took a baby girl, and Jethro took a baby girl. I don't know where this girl came from, but they both played an enormous role in Moses' life. One became his stepmother, Bitya, the adoptive daughter of King Pharaoh, and the other one, who was raised by Jethro, became his wife. The point that I want to make is, everyone is always looking at the success, but no one is looking at the trials, the errors, the will to continue, the will to survive, the commitment. And when you see a good story, you have to know there's a lot of work behind it. And it's not work that people talk about, right? Just like Moses was in jail for 10 years. Nobody talks about him. Moses gets married, he has children, he lives with his father-in-law. He is a shepherd, basically. He works for his father-in-law, shepherd. And he's in the desert, taking care of the sheep. And there is a little sheep that got lost. So Moses goes, run after the sheep, brings him back, carries, says, you were thirsty, you were looking for water, come and give you water. And God says, you know what? You're looking so nicely after your sheep. You'll be the shepherd of my people. On the way back, Moses sees there's a bush that is burning, but it's not getting consumed. It's like keep on burning, keep on burning, keep on burning. This is what's going on here. I was very curious. Always be curious. Always be curious. All right? Because some people say, okay, there's something, okay, who cares? Always be curious. Always be curious. So he goes and he checks it out, and that's when we have this encounter that he has a revelation, and God tells him it's time to go back to your people and take them out of slavery. He receives his mission. You think, okay, that's great. Everybody knows Moses took them out of Egypt, right? Didn't want to do it. He said no. He said no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I can't talk, I'm not doing that. I can't. So what I want to say is like this. Very often, God tells us you have a mission. Okay? It might not be at a burning bush, it might not be spectacular, but sometimes you feel your goal in life is to do something. One is to be a teacher, one is to have recovery, one is to bring up his child again because he was not there while the child was gone. Whatever, everybody always has a mission that he feels, this is my mission, yeah? Guess what people do?
Fail.
I can't. No, they don't fail.
Excuses.
In order to fail, you gotta try.
Excuses.
Excuses is more like this. I can't. Even Moses, the great leader Moses, he had the same reaction. Says, I can't talk. How am I going to convince people? I can't talk, you know. I'm like, my math is not.
Stuttering.
Yeah, I can't do it. I can't. An excuse. No, I'm not doing it. Send someone else. How many times we do this? I can't.
What? You did it today.
Huh?
I did it today.
But how many times people say I can't? And there's always a good excuse. I'm not saying it's not no excuse. Always a good excuse.
Yeah.
Look, a bad excuse is not an excuse, right? It's only an excuse if it's good. But that's how it is. So we learn from this. For 3 days, God said to him, no, you're gonna have to do it. Okay? No. At the end, it's okay. Sometimes in life, what we say no, we have to know. Eventually, we're going to have to do it. Eventually, we're going to have to do it. And recovery is the same. It's a mission. It's a mission to be the best you can. That's your life mission. For everyone. For everyone. So, if you say, I can't, you can say I can all you want. Okay, you can't, you go back into addiction. Eventually, you're going to have to do it. That's it. Even Moses, he tried, doesn't work. He had to do it. All of us, and I'm speaking for all of us, we have a mission in our lives. And if we say, I can't, and we have excuses, we have to know at the end it's going to get done. The first mission is, the mission is to be the best you can. There is generality, like what you have to do is to be a good person and do good in the world. And then there is the specific. Like for a person, it would be to take care of his father. For another person, it would be take care of his child. For another person, it would be to start a company. For another person, it would be to go around the world and talk about sobriety. Whatever it is. Everybody has their own
Mission.
place, their own mission. The general mission is to be a good person and to do good.
Yeah.
Okay? So you can't say I can, because even if you say you can, eventually it's going to come back on your plate. Anyway, so we see that he says no, but at the end, he's going to go. So God said to him, you know what? I'm going to be there with you and I'm going to make miracle. Because that's another component. What do we think we can't? Because we don't think we have the strength or the power or the ability, whatever. There's a promise. If you're given a job, you're also given the tools for the job. If God make you alive, it means you can. He's going to give you the tools and he's going to be there with you to do it. It's true that if you think, oh, it's all on me, you're going to get panicking and say, I can't. But God said, I'm going to be there with you. I'm going to make miracles. You're going to see the miracle with a stick that turned into a snake and all kinds of things. I will make miracle. I will be there with you. Okay? And he said to him, remember that stuff that you took out of the ground? It was like rooted in the ground. How could you take it out? It was not possible. So many people have tried for decades to take it out of the ground. Nobody could do it. You see that I give you the strength to do it? The same way that I help you, I will help you later. And so this is what we have to do in our life, that we see in the past, we got helped to come here, to find a spot, or to have the idea to call, or whatever. We got helped along the way. Always look for the little bits and pieces of how God helped you in the past, so that it gives you strength that you know that he helped you in the past, it will help you in the future. This is what God said to Moses, take the staff in your hand and go to Egypt with that staff. And when you hold that staff, that's written on it all kinds of, Kabbalistic things. When you hold the staff, remember, I helped you take it out of the ground. I will help you along the way to do what you need to do. That's what the staff is. You hold on to this. You hold on to the staff. Even in the movie, they represent Moses with the staff, right? The staff means, remember I helped you before. I'm going to continue to help you. But you have to remember all the time that I helped you. If you don't remember that God helped you in the past, you're going to panic. You're going to say, how am I going to do it? I can't do it. So always remember that I'm going to be with you. Eventually, Moses go back to Egypt. So he agrees, he goes, takes his wife and children, he goes. And when his brother goes meet him, he says, "What do you bring these people here? We don't have enough slave people that are in trouble. You need to bring more people here, send them back." Aaron came to meet his brother, Moses, that he hadn't seen for 50 years or more. By the time Moses arrived in Egypt to do his mission, he was 80 years old. 80 years old. Now, a lot of people think if you don't make it when you're in your 20s or your 30s, it means you're a failure. Most people that are successful are in their 60s or later. All right? So that's sometimes we go, "Oh, I haven't done it enough, no, I didn't do anything." Your life is not over. You have time. You have time. You have time to do something good. You have plenty of time. So Moses is 80 years old when he arrives to start his mission. And when he arrived, he told the king, "You gotta let these people go for 3 days." Tell them, just let them go forever. Just like, swallow a little bit by bit, just 3 days. But in any case, the king didn't listen to him and things got worse. So when Moses arrived in Egypt, the Jewish people say, "Oh my gosh, now the Savior arrived." Because he gave them a secret code, they know it's him. And they started having hope, right? And then all of a sudden, because Moses went to the king, then the king got upset and he made it worse for them. So sometimes this is a lesson that we need to take in life. Sometimes there's one step forward, "Oh, it's going to be great now." And then things get bad again or worse. Don't think it's the end. That's how things work sometimes. Sometimes you go and it keeps on going bad. But sometimes it goes forward and then it gets worse again, then it gets better again. It's part of life. It's part of the challenge we have. Don't quit. Don't quit. Don't quit. When things got worse, Moses went back and forth 6 times. Until he took them out, he came, he gave them hope, then he left, then they left again on their own with worse situation, then he came back and he did this, and then he left again. I read a lot of things that 6 times he came back and forth. He was not there the whole time. So what do you do in the meantime? Things get bad, and they screamed. It was so bad, they screamed, they couldn't take it anymore. You have to know when a person cannot take it anymore, that's it. You scream, you ask God, "Please help me, I can't take it anymore." And that's when things happen. It says, God listened to their screaming and he decided he's going to fulfill his promise. He told them it's going to be good. "I promised your forefathers Abraham and Jacob and Isaac that it's going to be good." And now that's it. He said, "Okay, we put things in motion." What put things in motion? Not Moses coming, because that made it worse. What put things in motion? The fact that they couldn't take it anymore. Before, okay, we slave and we cope and you get used to it and it gets worse and this and that. But it comes to a point it's too much. When it's too much already, then that's when things get in motion. Things start going up. Some people, they hit rock bottom and they intend to stay at rock bottom and finish with it. But some people, they hit rock bottom and they say, enough is enough. And that's the thing that stops the click of going up. Remember, it's not somebody from the outside coming to save you. It's you on your own saying, "I don't want this anymore, that's it, finished. I can't. Because we're so patient. As human beings, we get used to everything. We get used to being in the mud. We get used to being despised. We get used to being in trouble. We get used to anything. People get used to anything. But when you say no more, that's when you take things in hand because God helps you. All right?